Awesome. We're live now. So, welcome everybody. Today, we'll be talking about the gubernatorial recall election in California, which is happening on September 14th, so next week. I'm the managing editor at India Currents, and with me, I have Ritu Marwah, who is a senior India Currents feature writer. A little bit about Ritu. She has a master's in international relations, a postmaster's in political science. She's been writing for India Currents for a really, really long time, way before I even joined India Currents. And she received the USC 2020 California Health Fellowship, where she reported on the health of Punjabi truck drivers during COVID. So it's great to have her. I'm going to ask her some questions, and then she's going to kind of respond. Do you want to add anything else, Ritu?
No, I'm good. Hi, Srishti. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So for anybody watching, if you have any questions, you're welcome to comment below and we'll try to respond to them. If you comment after the live is over, you're welcome. We'll try to respond to those questions after the fact. So for now, I'm just going to ask a few questions. So Ritu, what is a recall election? First things first.
Sure. So we in California, we elect the governor for 4 years, right? At present, our governor is the Democrat, Gavin Newsom. He's completed 3 of those 4 years. And now we also have a system by which an elected official can be recalled if a certain number of voters ask for a referendum. The number of voters who can ask for a referendum are 12% of the number that voted in the previous election. So it's very hard to get the referendum going because, as soon as the governor is elected, it's the opposition party's job to see if he can be recalled. And it's been done for every governor since Ronald Reagan. The only time we were successful in recalling a governor was Gray Davis. And now 18 years later, we are trying again. And we have reached that point where we are voting to remove the governor. Now, Gray Davis was the only governor in California who was recalled. And he's the second governor in the US who has been recalled. But mind you, his competition was Arnold Schwarzenegger. And so Arnold Schwarzenegger won the recall election, and then he was governor for another term. So what is on the ballot right now is something that every political party has been trying, and this is the 6th attempt to recall Newsom. This recall effort has been successful thanks to the corona pandemic. Not only.
Can I ask you one question? Because you said it's 12% of the population that voted in the previous election. By that, do you mean the midterm election? Do you mean the presidential election?
It was the governor's election, the last election which Newsom won, and 12% of that, I think they needed 1.5 million signatures to get the referendum going.
I see. Okay. So yeah, you were going into what was on the ballot. So what is on the ballot? How does that work?
So the thing is that what is on the ballot is, there are 2 questions, right? Do you want to recall Governor Newsom? Yes or no? You say, no, we do not want to recall him. Then he gets to stay and the rest of the term. You say, no, we don't want him. If you vote yes, then you want the recall and a new governor comes in and completes the rest of the term.
To clarify, if you vote no, you're saying let's not recall Gavin Newsom, we're keeping him. And if you vote yes, that means that we are recalling him and that we will have a different person in as the governor. So that's the first question. I know there's a second question. So what's the second question?
So, interestingly, what happens is in the first question, they say, do you want the governor out of the office? And then you say, no. Then in the second question, if he does lose the recall, whom do you want as your candidate for governor? Now, you would think it's your counterintuitive. No, I don't want to really change him, so I don't want to answer the second question. But the second question can be answered without impacting your first question. So your vote for a new candidate is independent of your first question. So if you want to stay with Newsom, you can still pick a candidate of your choice just in case Newsom is recalled. So you can vote on both questions. Even if you vote against the recall, you can still vote for one of the candidates. I'm sorry, I'm just repeating because it's kind of important to understand that if you have voted no on the recall, your selection of the alternative candidate does not invalidate your vote. Each question is counted independently. So it's not going to impact the other. So if you vote no to recall Newsom, you can still pick one of the candidates, from the list. That second list is not going to have Newsom's name on it.
Yeah, and it's important to do that second question because in the case that, let's say you vote no, but he ends up getting recalled, your vote on the second portion of the question the second question will actually have an impact on who gets elected in term. So that is super important. There's also a write-in option, and I know that. Can you just write in? My question to you is, can I just write Gavin Newsom as my write-in option? Would that make a difference?
I don't think you can do that. No, you have to pick from one of the list.
Yeah, if you write in Gavin Newsom, I believe that your vote is invalidated. It just doesn't matter. So don't write Gavin Newsom and don't write your own name. It's probably not going to matter. Try to choose someone that you think is gaining some type of traction in your political sphere,
Right.
So why does it matter? Why does it matter so much that we actually vote in this election?
So actually, it's very interesting to see who are the people who actually are going to determine this election. There is a very strong push by the Republicans to get their governor in. And so the Republicans in California have been in minority. This is their opportunity to get their candidate in. CBS News poll showed that 72% of the Republican voters are very motivated to vote, as opposed to the Democrats, which, 61% of the Democrats. The communities up and down California's sprawling agriculture heartland have historically been the conservative counterbalance to the state's urban and liberal coast. And the recall effort started right here north of Stockton in Yolo County. And its outcome could be determined right here in these communities, or by the people, the Democratic voters who are too lazy to go and vote or think their vote doesn't count. And so who is supporting Gavin Newsom is going to be critical, but what is going to be critical is if you go to vote. If you don't go to vote, and the thing is, it's very important to vote because that your children going to school, whether your rent is to be paid or not to be paid, whether you can go out for lunch or dinner, all that matters. But on the larger scale, there is a larger question. For the Democrats, if they lose this election, there is a chance that they may lose a seat in the Senate. So right now, the Senate, they have a very razor-thin majority. You have 50%, 50%, and the casting vote is by the vice president, Kamala Harris. If the sitting oldest senator is Dianne Feinstein, and she is saying she is going to work out her term, which ends in 25. But just in case she does leave office, the new governor will select the senator, the new senator. And if we have a Republican governor, then, there is a chance that the Democrats might lose their razor-thin majority in the Senate. And the
Mhm.
Republicans are obviously very keen to have the GOP's first US Senate seat from California since John Seymour in the early 1990s.
Mhm.
So your vote, is going to impact you. It's going to impact Joe Biden's agenda, because if he has to roll out his agenda, he needs that Senate to be in his favor. So
Mhm.
it might seem like a small election, but it isn't really.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm sure, or I hope that people kind of have an idea of how much of an impact the governor can have, because clearly when Kamala Harris became vice president, the governor appointed the person to replace her, which ended up actually being the Secretary of State. And then we got a new Secretary of State and all of that happened. So yeah, the governor does have power. They have influence. Our vaccine rollout programs have happened primarily because of our governor, you know. So yeah, I mean, I'm not saying you need to vote one way or the other,
Right.
but you should just go out and vote.
Yes.
And do it in an informed way. So the other thing I wanted to ask, like, let's talk about the technical aspects of voting. So
Sure.
how does one actually participate in this democratic process? Do we go, do you get a mail-in ballot? Do you go to a registrar's office? What do we do?
So we got our ballots in the mail. As long as I think it's you don't have to put a stamp on it, and you can. It's a prepaid postage. As long as it's postmarked by September 14th, you can mail the ballot in. Okay, don't be like my son and wait till the last minute to file or vote. If you want to go in person, my friend Fred, he wanted to go in person and drop his ballot because he wanted to make sure that, it went. So he went and dropped it in, and you can drop it to the various locations within your county. Or on the day of the election, which is next week, Tuesday, I believe, till 8 p.m., the polling booth is going to be open, and you can go and vote over there. So you have 3 choices.
3 choices, which is great. What about if you're not registered to vote?
Oh, the in-person voting locations will offer voter registration, replacement ballots. They will have accessible voting machines. They will also have language assistance to those who need it. So,
Yes.
so in-person voting locations are your fallback, and on Tuesday, 14 September, till as late as 8 p.m., you can go in there and vote.
And I believe you can take 2 hours off of work to go and vote that's paid. I believe that's actually true. So if someone tells you can't go and vote, you need to put that out there. Like, you can find that law that they will have to pay you for 2 hours of work so you can go vote in person. That's awesome information. So anyone can vote, even if you're not registered or even if you're in the wrong county, they'll give you a provisional ballot, right? So anyone can vote. What about, let's say I did my mail-in ballot, but I didn't, you said postmark. What does that mean? Like, can I go and drop my ballot off on the day of, or do I have to mail it? Like, what's the situation with the mail-in ballot?
So the mail-in ballot, when you get it, you fill it in, and then you put it in your mailbox, and the mailman takes it. So when that goes to the post office stamps it that this is the date that you have mailed this letter. And as long as that date, that stamp is before or on September 14th, your ballot is in time. And you still have 4 or 5 days, and there's 2 days of the weekend starting today,
Yeah.
right? Friday, yeah.
So if you don't have a mail-in ballot, you can just go in person and vote. If you are registered in the wrong place and you didn't get your mail-in ballot, you can go get a different ballot at your polling place. And from what you're saying, I can mail it in today, I can mail it in tomorrow, and I can mail it in on September 14th, and it should still be counted.
Yes.
So that's great. That's good news. We have time still. Are there other questions people have? I mean, I don't think anyone
I
has
think it
asked us
might
any
be,
questions.
yeah, I think it might be a good idea to see who are the challengers. I think there are 46 challenges, 46 challengers.
Yeah.
You have to pick, some of them. I can tell you that there are 24 Republicans, and in the 24 Republicans right now, the lead is with the talk show host, Larry Elder. He has emerged as a clear front runner, and he's a supporter of President Donald Trump. He has raised 13 million, which is pretty good compared to
Significant, yeah.
the others. Then the other Republican candidates are the San Diego mayor, Kevin Faulconer, who has sought to claim the title of the most moderate Republican in the race and one with the most experience in elected office. Because you see, Larry Elder has no experience, but he says, nor did Ronald Reagan. Then there is the San Diego businessman John Cox, whose tagline is California has tried pretty politicians, it's time for beastly change. Then you have Caitlyn Jenner, the former Olympic athlete and reality TV personality. So you may want to look at these candidates before you go. There is the 9 Democrats. Among the Democrats, there is a Hollywood star, Patrick Kilpatrick, and then there is a YouTube millionaire, Kevin Parfret, who is the youngest. He's 29 years old, I believe. And he says that, in fact, most people who learn about me don't even know if I am Democrat or Republican. That's because my policies and my solutions are California solutions. They are neutral, middle of the road, and I seek to provide those solutions with both Democrats and Republicans. There's also a college student who's standing as a Democrat, a free speech lawyer, a cannabis policy advisor.
Wow.
And so these are the Democrat, and then you have two.
Is there a front runner with the Democratic Party like there is one for the Republican Party, or is it kind of split?
I'm not really sure about that. I think that the 2 members of the Green Party, the 1 Libertarian Party member, and 10 unaffiliated candidates are on the ballot as well. And it's what I keep hearing is Larry Elder. So actually, I would not be qualified to say about the other candidates, but I think that if you are looking for experience on the Republican side, or if you're looking for someone who is more left-wing Republican or more right-wing Democrat, you might want to look at the candidates before you go. Even if you are going to say, no, I don't want to remove Newsom, and you're going to vote no on the recall, even then it's a good idea to just take a look at who else is there and whom can whose policies resonate with you.
Awesome. That's really, really good information. And I think there's another thing that you mentioned before about being able to vote in language. So for anybody that, English is not your first language, they have Hindi actually as one of the languages that you can vote in. So you could request a ballot in Hindi and might help you decide on who to vote for, because it might be harder for you to figure it out when you're having to read it in another language. So just put that word out there that there are other languages you can, submit your ballot in. You can get those if you go upon request, if you go to a polling center. I think we've done a pretty good job of summarizing what's happening with the recall.
Interestingly, this recall is costing us $276 million.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so go vote, get value for your money. And it's good, and it's good experience, something, to see how the voting is done, and then just get yourself ready for the next big election. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think it's always important to engage in the democratic process. And especially in something like this, where, people are always complaining about their voice not mattering, or, my vote doesn't count, it doesn't really make a difference. But it really does. This will matter. And Democrats and Republicans should equally go out and vote. But clearly, Democrats don't have as much investment in what it feels like this election. So speaking to them, like, you should go out and vote because your vote will have an impact, and it is really important. And our taxpayer dollars are going to it, so you might as well utilize that, maximize what you're paying for.
Yeah.
I know you had a lot of good facts. Do you have any other ones for me?
Well, there is, I'm just thinking what else is there that I could tell you. I
think
think
you've done an awesome job.
Well, we covered it quite well.
Yeah, we've covered it. I think if you have any questions, leave a comment, and Ritu and I will try to get to them if we see it.
Yes,
Otherwise, go out and vote. If you have a mail-in ballot, you can post that in the mail on the day of as well. So I think with that, we
yeah, and if in case you have trashed it, reiterating that you can go in-person voting location and get another one.
Yes, in California, it is so easy to vote. I'm actually very proud of that. I think that is part of actually Gavin Newsom's efforts to universalize, like the accessibility to voting. I mean, I think it was Alex Padilla and Gavin Newsom, but I think that's like a really big thing in California. People don't really, know, like the fact that you can go to any voting center, no matter what your voting situation is, you can go and vote. You trash your ballot, you can vote. You never never registered to vote, you can still vote. You're in the wrong county, you can still vote. Like, there's always a way to vote. And so please go and vote.
And it's not really hot, and it's not really cold, and there's no rain and snow. And so, yeah, I think that's a good idea. I'm going to go on Tuesday.
Yeah, I actually have my little packet here. I have my mail-in. I should have probably shown this earlier, that I have my mail-in ballot right here. So I'm actually physically going to go drop it off at a ballot drop location soon, because I also have to do my research and read about the 46 candidates that are running, which is like maybe too many. But have you already voted, Ritu? I didn't ask you.
No, I want to go and have a party on the 14th. I want to kind of feel the excitement. So I'm going to go in person too, like you.
Awesome. So yeah, well, this can be dropped off on the day of at a polling center. So you can just walk to your closest polling center. A lot of times it's like a library or, like a community center. County office. Yeah, for me right here, it's like our Superior Court like area. I'm in downtown San Jose. So I'm gonna feel that I'm going to go and actually physically hand it on the day of, because I can do that. And India Currents is a great place to work because I can go to do that and work remotely. So I think we should probably sign off because we've kind of given all the information. But thank you, Ritu, for taking the time to give us all this good information. You really did your research, and I really appreciate you for it. So
your thing. Thanks, Srishti.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. Bye, everybody. If you have any questions, just drop them in the chat. All right. Bye.